all. Our today's topic is motivation, its types, its nature, and importance of motivation in organizations. So, first of all, let's come to the meaning of motivation. Actually, this term motivation has been derived from the word motive, like it is so apparent. So, motive, it means anything that initiates and sustains activity. So it is an inner state which energizes, activates, or moves a person's behavior in a particular direction. You can say it is a kind of a psychological force with an individual that sets him in the motion. So it's like Berlson and Steiner rightly said that a motive is an inner state that energizes, activates, or moves and directs or channels behavioral goals. So that is a motive, right? Now, once we have understood what is motive, so we can come to motivation because it has been derived from that motive part. So motivation is the process of steering a person's inner drives and actions towards certain goals and committing his energies to achieve these goals. So it involves a chain reaction, so what you would do, you would be um, you would be starting a chain reaction, which is like, which felt needs resulting in motives which gives rise to unfulfilled desires, which causes action towards goals. So it is the process of stimulating people to strive willingly towards the achievement of organizational goals. Now, according to Lillis, it is the stimulation of any emotion or desire operating upon one's will and promoting or deriving it to action. Now, motivation is the degree of readiness of an organism to pursue some designated goal and implies the determination of nature and locus of the forces, including the degree of readiness. So, it is also, you can say, that it is the work a manager performs in order to induce subordinates to act in the desired manner by satisfying their needs and desires. So, motivation is concerned with how behavior gets started, is energized, sustained, and directed. According to Dubin, motivation is the complex of forces starting and keeping a person at work in an organization. And it is an important factor which encourages person to give their best performance. So if you are highly motivated, you would give your best performance, and it helps in reaching enterprise goals. Obviously, a motivated employee who's giving his best will help uh, an enterprise in achieving its goals. So a strong positive motivation will enable the increased output of employee, but a negative motivation will reduce their performance. A key element in personal management is motivation. So, according to Likert, it is the core of management which shows that every human being gives him a sense of worth in face to face groups which are most important to him. A supervisor should strive to treat individuals with dignity and recognition of their personal worth. Now we come to the nature of motivation. So, as you know, motivation is a psychological phenomenon which generates within an individual. A person feels the lack of certain needs to satisfy, which he feels working more. So, the need satisfying ego motivates a person to do better than he normally does. Hence, motivation is an inner feeling which energizes a person to work more. Also, the emotions or desires of person prompts him for doing a particular work. It's not any force, but it is the desire. Then there are unsatisfied needs of a person which disturbs his equilibrium. So it is like, if a person has a gap, is thinking that, oh, I need this promotion, I need to sit on that chair in that position. So there is this unsatisfied need which is there, and which is actually disturbing his equilibrium for good, so that he would desire to do a particular work in order to get or fulfill this unsatisfied need. Hence motivation arises. Now, types of motivation. What are the various types of motivation? So, when a manager wants to get more work from his subordinates, then he will have to motivate them for improving their performance. So, they will either be offered incentive for more work, or maybe the space of rewards, better reports, recognition, etc. Or he may instill fear in them or use force for getting desired work. Now, the following are the types of motivation. There is one, positive motivation. So, what is that? Incentive motivation is based on the reward. The workers are offered incentives for achieving the desired goals. The incentives may be the shape of more pay, promotion, recognition of work, etc. So, the employees are offered the incentives and try to improve their performance willingly. According to Peter F. Drucker, the real and positive motivators are responsible for placement, high standard of performance, information adequate for self control, and the participation of the worker as a responsible citizen in the planned community. So, positive motivation is achieved by the cooperation of employees, and they have a feeling of happiness towards it. The second type of motivation is negative motivation. Now, uh, so negative or fearful motivation is based on force or fear causes employees to act in a certain way. In case they do not accordingly do, then they may be punished with demotions or layoffs. The fear acts as a push mechanism. The employee do not willingly cooperate, rather they want to avoid the punishment. Though the employees work up to a level where punishment is avoided, but this type of motivation causes anger and frustration. Now, this type of motivation generally becomes a cause of industrial unrest. In spite of the drawbacks of negative motivation, this method is commonly used to achieve desired goals. So there may be hardly any management which has not used negative motivation at one or the other time. So it is very common to have even negative motivation. So if you are, let us say, it is the most common one, that if you are late, then they cut your half day, or they believe it that you have taken half day leave, so you have to be punctual, right? So this is a kind of a negative motivation. Now, importance of motivation. Now, management tries to utilize all the sources of production in a best possible manner. Now, this can be achieved only when employees cooperate in this task. Efforts should be made to motivate employees for contributing their maximum. The efforts of management will not bear fruits if the employees are not encouraged to work more and more. So the motivated employees become an asset to the organization. Now the following is the importance of motivation. Like first is high performance. So motivated employees will put maximum efforts for achieving organizational goals, right? The untapped reservoirs, physical and mental abilities are tapped to the maximum. Better performance will also result in higher productivity. Now, the cost of production can also be brought down if productivity is raised. The employees should be offered more incentives for increasing their performance. Motivation will act as a stimulant for improving the performance of the employees. Now, low employee turnover and absenteeism. When the employees are not satisfied with their job, then they will leave it whenever they get an alternative offer. The satisfaction among employees also increases with absenteeism. The employment training of new employees costs dearly to the organization. When the employees are satisfied with their jobs and they are well motivated by offering them financial and non financial incentives, then they'll not leave the job. The rate of absenteeism will also be low because they'll try to increase their output. So, low employee turnover is actually, because, and absenteeism happens because of lack of motivation. Now, better organizational image. Now, once the employees are motivated, they are working at their full potential, their a company image is formed. So those enterprise which offer better monetary and non-monetary facilities to their employees have a better image among them. Like I was telling you about the American Express being the employers of the year, the best employers. Why? Because they have been giving certain non-monetary facilities as well, which are unprecedented, and people really look up to working in Amex. So, such concerns are successful in attracting better qualified and experienced people. Since there is a better manpower to development program, the employees will like to join such organizations. Motivational efforts will simplify personal function also. Then, better industrial relations. So, a good motivational system will create job satisfaction among employees. The employment will offer those better service conditions and various other incentives. So, there will be an atmosphere of confidence among employers and employees. There will be no reason for conflict, and there would be cordial relationship among both sides, which would create a healthy atmosphere. So, motivation among employees will lead to better industrial relations as well. Then, acceptability to change. So, the changing social and industrial situations will require changes and improvements in the working of enterprises. So, there will be need to introduce new and better methods of work from time to time. So, generally, employees resist changes for fear of an adverse effect on their employment. When the employees are given various opportunities of development, then they can easily adapt to the new situations. So they'll think of positive side of new changes and will cooperate with the management. If the employees are satisfied with their work and are not offered better venues, then they'll oppose everything suggested by the management. Motivation will ensure the acceptability of new changes by the employees. Factors that impact employee motivation. So, motivation actually always almost beat mere talent. Why? Because talent, if not backed by motivation, cannot give you results. So, motivation is the reason that drives all our actions. An individual expects that if they behave a certain way or perform certain tasks, they will achieve their desired outcome. Now, in the workplace, this outcome, as long as it's positive, is the driver that can impact if and how the tasks given to employees are performed. The key to reaching the highest possible results lies in being able to identify the factors that drive each individual at the in the workplace or in the workforce. So it is so important that you should know that you have hired people, like we did staffing. So you have hired, recruited, selected, placed people. Now, if you are not able to motivate them, they will not work or they'll not give you desired results. So it's crucial that apart from considering that the final outcome is worthwhile, employees also believe that they are capable of performing the task that's expected of them. If the targets or goals seem unachievable from their perspective, it's unlikely they'll feel motivated, which in turn will lead to lower performance. This is why being able to identify the main factors that drive an employee is a first and most important step on the way to increasing performance. So, there are actually main 9 components that contribute to employees' motivation. Let us go to them one by one. So, the first is the monetary compensation. Now, what is monetary compensation? We all know the salaries or the pecuniary benefits which we give to the employees are the monetary compensation. So, receiving regular payments, especially in reference to permanent employees, is considered a basic need that is expected to be satisfied by an employer. However, salary on its own is a short term satisfaction. So, in the long term, salary is a factor that increases performance. So, it is the basic need but not a motivator, and a promise of getting a pay rise frequently has only a temporary impact. However, if the salary is lower than an employee would expect, it could cause dissatisfaction and disengagement. While earning an equitable salary might not motivate employees to perform better, it will reduce the risk of them feeling resentful or frustrated by the job. So it is a basic necessity that this much salary is what is needed to be given to them to be able to be not frustrated in the job. So it is a factor which whose absence might irritate or frustrate the employee, but it cannot keep them motivated. Then we come to non monetary incentives. What are non monetary incentives? They are non financial rewards by way of satisfying employees' ego and self actualization needs. So these are often used to acknowledge extraordinary performance. If someone has done something really extraordinary, then maybe an award or a reward of some money, or not money, but let us say a trip to some other country, or a family dinner, or something like that. So it may be given for extraordinary performance and recognizing achievements, and to increase the morale and create positive work environment. So it actually motivates the employees for higher performance. And there is a wide range of different non-financial incentives that can be used by managers, like, let us see what are they. So even a simple thank you, either said directly to an employee or better still sent in written form, and preferably handwritten. Okay, so this works as a motivation. Then public appreciation and acknowledgement of a job or tasks well done. So if publicly you are being told that you did something good, it actually motivates you and others as well to work hard. Then rewarding an employee with the title of Star of the Month or Employee of the Month. So where have you seen it? You've seen in KFC, McDonald's. So there are Employee of the Month, right? That is so apparent all the time we go to McDonald's and we see that chart, right? So this is also a way of motivating them. Vouchers on tangible goods. So there are vouchers for Shoppers Stop, or any other place where you can go and buy for yourself anything you want. Then flexible working arrangements. So it's something like you're being given that, okay, so you can work from home. That's a flexible working arrangement, right? And the opportunity to work from home and free or subsidized meals, fruits or drinks are all non-monetary incentives. Then a relationship with colleagues. So, as employees spend one third of their day at work, relationships and interactions they have with their colleagues can significantly impact their mood and outlook. Negative experiences or attitudes will eventually lead to isolation and loneliness, making it more difficult to find satisfaction from work, which in turn will decrease motivation, right? So, you have to have a good atmosphere in the organization so that the relationships at workplace are healthy and conducive of work. So employees social needs are to be captured and are taken care of. Employee social needs linked to their desire to be accepted and to belong to a community can be used to build strong and loyal teams that will achieve higher results by cooperating on the basis of common understanding. Now, to stimulate the development of positive work relationships, It's advised to focus on team building activities that will allow employees get to know each other better. So, brainstorming sessions in or outside of the office that allow anyone to speak freely, openly, and honestly. Then, team lunches or dinners in social events such as Christmas parties or Halloween. Then, bowling, river cruises, comedy clubs, physically challenging activities, or other activities that the team could attend together for the strong building of the team. Now, care should be taken to select and plan events taking into account all team members' abilities. Now, using an external facilitator for team building who might offer icebreakers, discussion points, games, or similar techniques. So, these most of the companies adopt to have a better understanding, and so the team starts gelling with them, with each other. Then we come to relationship with leadership. Now, each employee has a hierarchy of needs that should be addressed, and responsibility of understanding those needs lays with their line managers. The basis for effective communication between the two parties is two-sided trust. So, relationships built on this foundation will help employees to be honest and openly talk about their needs, thoughts, and feelings, which in turn will give the line managers clear direction on how to support and motivate their members. So, it rests on the leader how he makes the employees comfortable to communicate what they are feeling. Then, company's culture. Now, according to a survey conducted by Harvard Business Review, the reasons behind why employees work determines how well they perform. So, employees are conscious of their company's culture and learn and align their professional goals with the organizational goals, which becomes their answer to the question that why are we doing something what we are doing, right? So the extent to which employees align with the goals set by their employer is directly impacted by the strength and clarity of their employer's mission statement and values. Any lack or belief or understanding of the employer's goal is one of the major causes of low job satisfaction, negative attitude, and lower commitment. On the other hand, employees who are aligned with the culture are generally more happy in their roles, achieve better results, and fulfillment. A company's culture comes down to six main elements: work environment, company mission, values, ethics, expectations, and goals. So, in practice, the culture is just a set of rules or accepted behaviors that help employees make decisions every day. Now, while every company would have their own unique set of features, values, and beliefs, culture is always about making sure that the employees have a productive and enjoyable working environment. So, companies' culture has a lot of saying into the motivation. If the company's culture is very cool, very supportive, then people would love to work there, they would be motivated to work. Whereas if it is fierce, competitive, and every time there is cutthroat competition, it may lead to frustration in the employees more than the motivation. Hence, we have to see what kind of culture we keep in our organization in order to keep our employees motivated. Learning and development opportunities. Now, self actualization is a natural byproduct of high performance. So, most employees naturally want to do a good job to feel they are achieving their full potential. Learning and development is a way of educating and guiding your employees on the areas and aspects that will help them develop and progress. So, the subject of personal and professional development is very important for Generation Y. So, in a recent M3S survey, has shown that the desire to learn, acquire new skills, and continue personal development is one of the reasons millennials choose to leave their employer. So you have to offer them those continuous personal development opportunities, or you have to train and develop them so that they continuously are acquiring new skills, they are learning new things. And when their personal development is happening, they feel motivated and they would not leave their current employee. So for the that very thing, so there are so many MBA programs and short term programs which are sponsored by the company or the management for their employees. Of course, so there are certain bonds also for that, that if you would be, if the company will sponsor them for, let's say, part time MBA for 3 years, then after 3 years, at least for 3 years, this person would be serving your organization because you're spending so much on him. So if you provide learning and development opportunities, it keeps the people motivated in your organization. So on the other hand, L&D can stimulate higher performance and improve engagement as long as the company offers development opportunities at every level, from learning on the job through mentorship, shadowing, and specific internal or external training programs. What does all these things do? They make the employee efficient and improve the engagement. uh, so the growth of the employee is actually the growth of the company also, if he sticks around. So you have to first create that motivating environment by providing them latest learnings and skills, and it is going to directly affect their work in your organization, right? So it is the, and also they'll feel motivated. So in with two aspects, this becomes an important part. Then process within the company. Now how does the process works? While process on their own aren't a motivational tool, but they're closely linked to the areas that impact desire, enthusiasm, and willingness of the employees. The workload, division of responsibilities, access to resources, and accountability all depends on the structure and efficiency of the processes on which the business runs. So efficient process stimulates workers, allowing them to work effectively and efficiently, and by reducing the amount of potential blockers. At each stage of the process, an individual should be aware of what's expected from them and what resources are available. So, making sure that an employee feels responsible for the outcomes of their work, it is crucial in building work engagement and stimulating higher performance. So if so, it is on the onus of the top management or the organization that it ensures that there are efficient processes. If the employees are seeing that their effort is going in vain, they would not be motivated to put their 100% into the organization. Hence it is important that they see that whatever they are working is worth it, and the entire process is very very effective and efficient, which in turn will make the employees motivated. Then personal life. According to research by Bersinger, DuPont and Associates, 47% of employees state that problems in their personal lives affect their work performance. We all know our personal lives are very very important, and it can very well affect our work performance. So personal changes can cause issues with concentration, poor attention, lack of engagement, and even absenteeism. So, as employees spend one third of their days at work, there's a lot then an employer and or manager can do to support members of their team who are going through a tough time. So, they have to be accommodative. If, let's say, somebody's mother, father, kid has fallen sick, then the manager has to understand it and give him that leeway to tend to their ailing parents or whatever is the situation. So, being patient and understanding towards them is actually the first step. So, most organizations have clear policies, procedures, or guidelines that specify how employees can be supported during difficult times. These often fall under work life balance. So, you must have heard of this term, work life balance. So, there you have to balance your personal life and the work umbrella, and are especially helpful in situations where bereavement or grief strikes, include flexible working, paid time off, or employee assistance programs as well. So you will assist or you will counsel your employees if they are going through some rough time, and then there you can give them flexible working hours, or you can give them the paid leaves. So, all these things are about work life balance. By offering support and understanding, as well as guiding employees through the hard times, it is possible to build trust and loyalty within people who frequently will return stronger and more committed. So, making their professional career another challenge to deal with and manage might create the opposite result. And as an employer, you may never regain the trust and commitment. So, you have to be very sensitive about the personal lives of your employees. Then, performing meaningful work. So, in case of non monetary incentives, motivation through meaning targets the need of self actualization. So, finding meaning as an existential question, and according to research, including Deloitte's Talent 2020 series, performing meaningful work is one of the top three motivational drivers. Now, what is that meaningful work? Which the employee perceives is an important work, and he can value himself for doing that work. So, finding the meaning behind work turns out to be linked to be able to make a difference to humanity through the job. By creating a culture of ethics, morals, and establishing a corporate social responsibility strategy, that is a CSR strategy, companies can encourage and guide their employees in the search of some meaning, some contribution to the society. So, another element to considering is educating employees on the values and the mission of organizations they work for. The foundation of seeing the meaning is understanding why the company does what it does and how does it makes a difference. So you have to connect your objectives to the social objectives as well. Another aspect is showing how the employees, the role they play within the company links to the company's vision, mission, and values. By helping employees understand how they make an impact on the business, and through that how they contribute to society, is a clear and simple way of giving them a purpose. So you have to give them a meaningful work, or some purpose to work for, and which they perform by their heart. So this keeps them motivated. So all these nine factors are very helpful in keeping an employee motivated. So actually, motivation is dynamic, it changes over time. It is the line manager's responsibility to identify and react to these changes. Having a full understanding of what employees want to achieve as individuals and showing them how to do it is the main principle that, if followed, will help to build a strong, engaged, and high performing team. And that is what an organization desires. So, this was all about meaning, importance, nature of motivation. Now we come to intrinsic motivational theory, and what is it? Intrinsic motivation theory. Now, so there have been a number of different proposed theories to explain intrinsic motivation and how it works. So, some experts believe that all behavior is driven by external awards such as money, status, food. So, these are extrinsic factors. But in intrinsically motivated behaviors, the reward is the activity itself, that you are enjoying that activity, that is why you're doing it. So, the most recognized theory of intrinsic motivation was first based on people's needs and drives, hunger, thirst, and sex are biological needs that we are driven to pursue in order to live and be healthy. So, just like these biological needs, people also have psychological needs that must be satisfied in order to develop and thrive. These include the need for competence, autonomy, and relatedness. So that you are competent enough to perform a task. If somebody entrusts you with that, you feel motivated, right? So if I give you a task of doing something for the class, you feel that yes, I am competent, I have that freedom, as well as I can relate more now to the class, right? So in this way they feel motivated. Along with satisfying these underlying psychological needs, intrinsic motivation also involves seeking out and engaging in activities that we find challenging, interesting, and internally rewarding without the prospect of any external reward. Now, intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation. So, intrinsic motivation comes from within. It's an internal thing, while extrinsic motivation arises from outside factors. When you are intrinsically motivated, you engage in an activity solely because you enjoy it and get personal satisfaction from it. When you are externally motivated, you do something in order to gain an external reward. This can mean getting something in return, such as money, or avoiding getting into trouble, such as losing your job. So, externally motivating can be, the negative and positive motivations are actually extrinsically motivated, but intrinsic is something which comes from within. You want to do it. Now, intrinsic motivation factors. So, researchers examined how reward timing influence intrinsic motivation. So, they found that giving an immediate bonus for working on a task rather than waiting until the task was completed increased interest and enjoyment in it. Getting an earlier bonus increased motivation and persistence in the activity that continued even after the award was removed. So, understanding the factors that promote intrinsic motivation can help you see how it works and why it can be beneficial. What are these factors? Let's see. The first is curiosity. Now, if you are curious to explore and learn, that becomes your sole pleasure of learning and mastering things. So, if I have, let us say, interest in reading about the Second World War, or the wars in the world, then I would read it out of curiosity, not because I am being pressurized or I'll be rewarded for it, right? Then next is challenge. So being challenged helps us work at continuously optimum level, work toward meaningful goals. So you need to challenge people so that they work. Then control. So this comes from our basic desire to control what happens and make decisions that affect the outcome. Then recognition. So we have an innate need to be appreciated and satisfaction when our efforts are recognized and appreciated by others. Then cooperation. So cooperating with others satisfies our need for belonging. We also feel personal satisfaction when we help others and work together to achieve a shared goal. Then competition. Competition poses a challenge and increases the importance we place on doing well. Then fantasy. So fantasy involves using mental or virtual images to stimulate your behavior. So an example is a virtual game that requires you to answer a question or solve a problem to move to the next level, right? So you have to create a fantasy. So you, for example, take your subordinate to a cabin and show him that this is going to be yours if you are, going to get this contract. So it is a kind of a visual image you have given that employee. It is, taking him to the fantasy world. Now, how to practice better intrinsic motivation? So there are certain things that can help you practice better intrinsic motivation. What are those? First of all, look for the fun in work and other activities, or find ways to make your task engaging for yourself. So it should not be that, oh, I have to do it. No, that's not the way. You see, you find out that what do you want to, what are you going to get out of it. There would be some knowledge, increased knowledge, which would come handy in your life, and then make it fun to work. Then find meaning by focusing on your value, the purpose of a task, and how it help others. Right? So this may motivate you better. Then keep challenging yourself by setting attainable goals that focus on mastering a skill, not an external gain. So it would be like, if I am going to be well versed with the management, it would augment my understanding about the subject, and it is going to help me in the longer run. So this is what you would be, that would motivate you intrinsically. Then help someone in need, whether it's a friend who could use a hand at home, or lending a hand at a soup kitchen, because that would give you a purpose and it would keep you motivated. Then create a list of things you genuinely love to do or have always wanted to do, and choose something on the list to do whenever you have time or are feeling uninspired. So then, if it is there in front of you, then you would feel like, or would be motivated to do it. Then participate in a competition and focus on the camaraderie and how well you perform instead of on winning. So enjoy. If you are in a dance performance, enjoy your dance, whatever the performance is going to be good anyways. Then, before starting a task, visualize a time that you felt proud and accomplished, and focus on those feelings as you work to conquer the task. So, you have to visualize that, oh, if I am doing it, so it is a kind of fantasy which you have created in your mind, and it would keep pushing you towards your goal. Now, what is the conclusion? That intrinsic motivation can be applied to all the aspects of your life, and has been shown to be an effective way to improve performance of employees. So, by changing the focus to the internal rewards of a task, such as satisfaction and enjoyment, you can better motivate yourself and others. This was all about the importance, nature of motivation and intrinsic motivation theory. Thank you so much.